Is the intro happening?
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction. We got Chaz and Joe with us tonight from Cranley Gardens. Obviously, I introduced your names, so you can just let us know what you do in the band.
What's up? I'm Chaz. I'm the vocalist.
I'm Joe, and I play guitar.
Awesome. My first question I got for you guys is, how'd you go about finding your other members of your band?
Well, I guess I'll answer that one. I'm one of only two original members left at this point.
Oh wow.
We started the band. I started the band because I lived in Hawaii. I was from New Jersey, but I moved to Hawaii and I lived there for a little while. And I decided to come back because metal doesn't really exist out there. So when I came home, I was like, that was my goal, was immediately to start a band. A couple months later, had a group of dudes, mostly through mutual friends, and then a couple people we found either through Craigslist or literally walking around handing out like flyers and stuff.
Okay.
Then we kind of like swapped members here and there, like basically musical chairs for a while. And about 3 years ago, was it more
Yeah.
than that? Yeah, 3 years ago, we were kind of in like a lull, and we were low. We hadn't had a bass player in a while, or no, I'm sorry, we hadn't had a guitar player in a while, a second guitar player, and we hadn't had a drummer for a while.
Wow.
And we had a mutual friend that was a good drummer that we actually just never reached out to for. I guess we didn't really know him, but we just knew who he was.
Yeah.
I didn't even really know who he was that well, but he somehow we got in contact with him and he joined the band, and then we found Joe on Craigslist. And pretty much it was like one meeting with both of them, and it was like, yep, seems good, let's make it work. And then the rest is history.
That's
And now
crazy.
we live together.
Yes, now you guys live together. I think it's like three members. Do you know which members live? I mean, obviously you two live in this house, but is there somebody else?
Yeah, our bass player Alex, he
Okay.
lives here as well.
That's cool. I didn't. The Hawaii thing was kind of interesting. I didn't. I was like, man, Hawaii. You're right. I don't think there is too many metalheads out in Hawaii.
Yep. I went to a show out there. Skin Lab played out there, and there was like 7 people in the audience.
Oh man,
It was rough.
that's pretty rough, honestly.
Yeah.
What was my second? Okay, here we go. What are some of your favorite places? I know you guys are from Philly. We're Philly locals, so what are some favorite spots you like to hang out? Either I guess local to your house or like in Philly.
So you talk about for music wise, or
I
just
mean,
chilling?
it could be either or. You can choose both.
All right, you can go first.
Well, there's lots of places in Philly. I lived there for 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
So I've frequented several places from like a hangout standpoint, but from a music standpoint, we play a lot of shows at this place called the Voltage Lounge, which is like it's kind of a bar and a hangout, but
It's also a hookah lounge.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was never really that much of a big deal. But then within the last year, they've been starting to book like some really decent shows there. Like, Black Dahlia Murder came through.
Oh, really? Wow.
After the Burial,
The
Rings of Saturn. Like,
Rings of Saturn, yeah. Contortionist, yeah.
Acacia Strain.
yeah, and there's been like a bunch of others I'm forgetting. But we love to go there and promote. Like, it's one of our places we like to go because we actually know a lot of people who work there and who frequent the place. So whenever there's a metal show, we'll head down with some CDs and promote there. I probably spend more time there than anywhere else in Philly at this point.
Yeah, I guess I'm at the Voltage Lounge quite a bit. There's non-Philly place that's cool for us is this place called Valari's because it's walking distance from our house. Go and get fucked up and then just can I curse?
Yeah, go on ahead.
All right,
I don't care. I don't care.
all right, yeah, we can get all like tuned up and then
Yes.
stumble our way home, which is always convenient. But then in Philly, I know there's a bar Joe and I both like called Silk City. It's a pretty good time. It gets a little bit wild there. And as far as venues go, Union Transfer is awesome.
Yeah, Union
Really
Transfer's
like
really
that venue.
nice.
It's a great place to hang out and watch a concert because they have like a sick bar in the back, and
Yeah.
the venue shape of the venue is very cool. And also, what's the other place? We'll just leave it at that.
Did you guys?
The Fillmore is sick
Yeah,
to
have
me
you been
too.
to the Fillmore? I was gonna ask you
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah, the
haven't been
Fillmore
there.
is
I haven't
right
been
down.
there yet, but I hear it's nuts. Like it's really good.
Yeah, I highly recommend going to a show there. It's awesome. It's very spacious. Everything's brand new. It's super clean. There's really cool lighting. The sound's good in there, and they have like a nice bar as well. It's down the street from my girl's place, so yeah, it's pretty sweet.
All right, I'll have to check the film. I was gonna say because I've been to most. Yeah, I've been to Union Transfer, Electric Factory, Voltage Lounge, all those places in Philly, but I haven't been to the Fillmore. I don't know if there's any. I don't think there's another one, but definitely a Fillmore I have not been to yet. So I'll have
They've
to
only
wait.
had 2 or 3 metal shows
Yeah.
there so far.
Yeah, I know they had Parkway not too long
Yeah,
ago,
we were there.
and
Yeah,
I
And August
don't.
Prince Red came through like
that's right.
a month or two
Yeah,
ago.
I think those are the only 2 metal shows. Yeah, but you can park for free at Sugar House Casino, which is pretty sweet too.
oh wow,
That's always
cool.
an added perk. It's free parking.
Yeah, free parking is always the best, dude. That's what was the problem with like Under Oath too, because that was like we had to park like 3 parking lots down from like the venue. It was crazy. Um, so speaking of your band, what are some of your musical influences? Either like your band as a whole or you individually.
Hmm. Well, I'll say some of my influences are a little bit odd.
It's all right.
My actual favorite band is Third Eye Blind.
Wow.
And, yeah, as a lyricist, I think that Stephen Jenkins has some of like the best lyrics I've ever read.
Red.
Ever read? I was
You-
gonna say written, but I was like, well, I didn't write. Some of the best lyrics I've ever read, and I just try to incorporate that, like thinking about how you can phrase things and like how to like. He doesn't get too repetitive when he writes his songs. He always seems to find a way to say something differently, even if he's expressing the same point. Like he'll talk about a breakup 900 times, but it sounds like a song every time you listen to it.
That's cool.
That's a big influence on me lyrically, and so is certain like hardcore bands. I really like the power and the passion in their voice, like Hatebreed and Madball.
Yeah.
The Ghost Inside is a big influence. They sound like every time they say something, like you're feeling it. Like they have like their hearts in every word, and I really like respect that about vocalists. So any like, kind of hardcore band like that, I really get behind.
Awesome.
Well, I've had a kind of a bizarre journey to like metal because I hadn't always been into it, and my influences have frequently changed like throughout. So I grew up with like 5 sisters, so um, you know, I'm a little bit older than everybody else in the band, so I didn't have like the access to music that you have today.
Yeah.
So I could only listen to what my sisters listened to because they had tape players and CD players. So
Yeah.
I grew up on a hard diet of '90s rap and R&B and Mariah Carey and all the band, Boyz II Men, and I still love all that music. But then around 7th grade, I think I heard Godsmack's Whatever, and I was like, what
Nice.
is this? And so then that led to probably the most influential band that I've ever come across was Pantera, because
Nice.
Dimebag Darrell made me like when I like heard his guitar playing, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And while I don't know how to do any of those things, I've been able to find my own sort of voice, I guess, on a guitar. But I mean, I've been a huge fan of Pantera and some like modern bands. I liked August Burns Red a lot, like
Yeah.
back in their older days. And more recent stuff now. I like Thioder's Murder,
Yeah.
Whitechapel, all the stuff that you would assume. So yeah, I mean, and there's a million more in between, but that's the quick version.
Yeah, actually, I want to pop in there and say for like current bands too, Fit for an Autopsy is a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
big
Yeah.
influence
For
for me.
autopsy.
Especially their Hellbound CD. I think Nate Johnson did a really good job with his vocals, and it kind of like inspired me to like try to test out some more things. And also his lyrical content, I think, is on point. And so I really respect the way he can like write about negative topics and still same thing. It's like basically he's like the metal Stephen Jenkins to me. He could talk about the same thing in numerous songs and make it sound totally different each time.
Awesome.
Yeah, what's interesting, I mean, from a band standpoint, we don't really have like a collective influence. It's kind of the gift and the curse of this band, I think, is because a lot of the reason why our songs come out the way that they do is because every single person in this band has way different influences and likes, and it makes the writing process a little bit hard sometimes because we
Yeah.
kind of have, in my head I want this sound, in his head he wants a different sound, so like there's a lot of butting heads, but it's somewhere in the middle. We find our sound, and it's like I find it really interesting to be a part of because it's like the songs that we're writing and the things that we do, I couldn't do on my own. Like I need everybody else to be able to pull this like ideas and creativity out of me because
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself. So we've spoke about that at length between ourselves, and it's kind of like one of the things that really keeps us going just as a band, is no matter how hard the writing process gets, like the result is always like, well, I guess we got to keep doing it because it sounds good.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as like a giant Venn diagram, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so we'll have something that 2 people or 3 people will agree on, but then like when we find that one where everybody's like, yes, it's like, all right, that's going to be good because everybody likes such different things. So when there's something that everybody like unanimously agrees on, like instantly, it's like, that's it. Print it.
I also think like it helps you come up with like more creative tracks if everybody listens to something different. Like if if you guys listen to the same bands, like it would be, the sound would come out very similar. But I mean, if you all listen to something different, then that makes a world of a difference in terms of like what type of songs you produce and stuff, and everybody hears it differently. So I think that's awesome.
Like,
But I'm expecting
like
some
recursion.
Mariah Carey in the next record. Though.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
working on my falsetto.
Okay, nice, awesome. I want to see some runs from Chaz. Runs from Chaz. But anyway, getting back to the like kind of, I mean, you talked about influences. So, what are some bands that you've been jamming as of recently? They could either be signed or local bands that you see, in our area.
I just stumbled across this band. They popped up as like a related artist on our Spotify.
Oh, nice.
And I always check that just to see if it updates, to see if any other new bands are coming on there.
Yeah,
Kinda
yeah.
like seeing like what the world thinks we sound like. And this band called Seas of Wake, I've been checking their stuff out, and I think that they're pretty cool. I think they're really good for a band of like their caliber. I pretty much am always listening to Fit for an Autopsy at some point. Like I might jam like 1 or 2 songs, like here and there every week. And what else? I was listening to, not very metal, but this band Night Verses. I've been listening.
Yeah,
to them.
nice verses are awesome, dude.
Yeah, they were on my Spotify like Discover Weekly playlist.
Yeah.
And I listened to one track, and then I'd just been like, probably for like 3 solid weeks, I was rocking their CD. Them and Balance and Composure, exact same scenario.
Yeah.
Found it on my Discover Weekly, and then I just listened to that constantly.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Chaz, I always have some Fit for an Autopsy or Whitechapel kind of going always. But I've, being part of the local metal band like scene, I guess, I've been finding myself kind of delving into, some more local stuff. Lately, we played with this band several times. Awaken Providence, they're from like the New York City area. I've been listening. They have an EP out that I've been listening to pretty frequently when I'm.
Insidious, check it out.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And then a good friend of ours, a band called Extractus. They're pretty new. They just had a EP release show that we played last Friday. It's a really good EP. I've been listening to that, and we have friends in this band called Prosper Parish, and I always listen to their EP as well. And they're actually they're going to take a hiatus to record their upcoming EP, and they also played that show with us too. So we're pretty close to those guys, and I really respect their music and their creativity. It's very different sounding, and I like it a lot. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the main. And I listen to music. I consume it probably the most when I'm either running or at the gym. So it's always like usually pretty heavy stuff. I guess the other mainstream band I've been listening to a lot was Architects.
Nice, yeah. Their new record was sick, so.
Yeah.
What did you think about the new Whitechapel record?
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna
topic
say.
on everybody's mind.
I'll say this, like, to me it doesn't sound bad.
Yes.
And I understand the decisions they're making and why they're making them. And people change as you get older. I get that too. And like even the cleans in the one song, I wouldn't even call them bad cleans. I was just a little bit offended because of how I view like Whitechapel and who they are.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just like, I can't believe this is happening.
I-
And in a lot of ways, like the same way that Bring Me the Horizon went the route that they've gone. But I was never really that attached to them the way that I was like respected Whitechapel. I mean, I still respect them, and we actually had the chance to kind of live a dream and open up for them.
Yeah, I saw
We
that.
played the Reverb in Reading, and they are awesome. I mean, it was the best time of my life, I can say, as playing in the band. Like that was one of the best shows we played, and it was awesome that it was for the crowd that was that big. But I mean, I'm sure I'll listen to it some more, and it'll maybe grow on me a little bit. But
Yeah.
I would, when I want Whitechapel, I want brutal, terrifying Whitechapel.
I haven't listened to the whole CD yet, so I don't want to talk too harshly about anything. I did listen to the one song that had cleans in it. What was that called?
I forget what it's called.
Bring Me Home, I think. Yeah, Bring Me
Yeah,
Home.
I think you're right. Yeah, it is that.
And he doesn't have a terrible sounding voice, and it was a lot slower, and it had a lot more cleans in it than I thought it would.
Yeah.
It was very much like I thought, like a heavy rock song, which I feel like I understand why they're doing that, because Bring Me the Horizon did that, and it gave them better commercial success. Parkway Drive did that, and I think that it's probably a way to sustain in the industry that it's so difficult to make money in.
Oh yeah,
There's
definitely.
very few bands. They've got to be the heaviest band that's at their level, except for maybe the only comparable to them would be Suicide Silence and August Burns Red. I think that nobody else is really as extreme as they are and as popular as they are.
Yeah.
And even then, August Burns Red is, I wouldn't say, as heavy as Whitechapel. It
No,
has-
no, no. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So I think that they're just trying to find a way to keep going. Plus, I mean, they've been making brutal ass heavy metal for 10 years now. Maybe
Yeah.
they're trying to branch out and do something different. It's just tough, I think, for a lot of fans to accept, because they started it so heavy, so
Yeah.
dark, so extreme, and now they've gone to such a far extent on the other side of the spectrum that it's kind of hard to swallow for a lot of people. But had they started out like, had they started their first CD been Our Endless War, this probably wouldn't have been as harsh of a transition for everybody. But given that their first CD was, what was their CD? The Somatic Defilement.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. So people are just like, this is bullshit. But I think it's cool. I didn't hate it. I have to listen to the CD more to really decide like how I fully feel about it.
Yeah.
But I'm always open to check things out. I think you can't stifle a band, and if they can write a good tune, it doesn't really matter if it's the sound you want or it's whatever. You know what I mean? Like if it's a good song, it's a good song. It doesn't matter what genre it is or how heavy it is.
Yeah, because we
Yeah,
were.
I mean-
What are you gonna say, Joe?
I was gonna say, I mean, we're not like metal elitists in any sort of way. Obviously, as you can tell by our Mariah Carey and Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
But it's. I think it just comes down to what you expect and what you want from a band that you are into.
Yeah.
And I fell off really hard from August Burns Red in the last years, because I mean, I really idolized their guitar playing and everything that goes with all their songwriting. Their drummer is ridiculous. And I like Constellations is probably one of the most played albums
Oh, yeah.
in my iTunes. But then like I was a little lukewarm to Leveler, and then like just after that I just what they were doing just really didn't interest me anymore, and it was like
Yeah.
kind of a sad thing, but I mean it happens. And in terms of like getting big like that too, Chelsea Grin has gotten kind of big now too.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some. I think they're. Who was it? Randy showed us a picture. They have like a giant Chelsea Grin tour bus now. But yeah.
No, I totally get you, and I'm not that big of a Whitechapel fan, but obviously they're, like you said, they're a very popular band, especially being a heavier band. But we were saying that same type of thing with Bring Me the Horizon, because they started off with Count Your Blessings, and then, but I feel like their transition was a little bit faster and a little bit more like steeper than Whitechapel for sure, because they kind of, like after There's a Heaven, they kind of gotten a little bit lighter, and then by the time Sempiternal came out, they were pretty like, I mean, they were still heavy, but like not as heavy. And then
Right.
now the newest album, they're kind of like hard rock, you know. But I think they're putting themselves in that type of position to, you know, be a much bigger band, like to be played on the radio, stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe Whitechapel needed like one more transitional album before they
Yeah.
hit us with
Yeah,
the cleans.
definitely. I totally agree with that one. But I'll have to check it out. I didn't even check it out, honestly. I listened to maybe, I think I listened to Mark of the Blade, but I wasn't really too impressed. And again, I hadn't listened to him, so before that, or I hadn't listened to them in quite some time. But I'll have to jam in and let you know guys know what I thought of it. But
Yeah, that song, the Mark of the Blade. I wasn't. That came out like right before we played with them,
yeah,
and I wasn't a gigantic fan of it. But then I saw them play it live, and it was a pretty cool song live. I mean, everything's heavier in that scenario, but after I saw it live, I was like, yeah, maybe I kind of like it.
um, I guess you can kind of speak on this because you guys do play a lot in Philly, as I see on your Facebook and stuff. What are some of the like positive and negatives that you've gotten out of, you know, either playing or promoting or whatever in Philly?
The positives, whenever we've been like out handing out CDs and flyers, we've always gotten a pretty positive response. I mean, we've had, some people that'll just, kind of tell us to fuck off or whatever. Like, they don't really care to have the time, or you can tell you give it to somebody that has like a little bit feigned interest or like even maybe a little bit of disinterest, and they're just gonna chuck it in the trash can when you walk away. But you kind of have to like expect that. It's like when you run an ad on TV, not every person that sees the ad's gonna
Yeah.
buy the, but some people will. So it's kind of you just got to take what you can get. But so far, I think a lot of people have been like, like, oh, look at you guys just out there still like doing something physical, because so many people rely on the internet now.
Yeah,
So, like,
totally.
Facebook marketing or just posting a flyer in some forum, and then like people just think that that's all you have to do. But I think that making a personal connection with somebody is really what makes a mark on someone. And so I think so far that has been good for us. So the Philly area has been very receptive to us. Every time we play a show, we'll pass out CDs afterwards, and hopefully that the fact that we gave them something to go home with makes them actually listen to it and care and want to like reach out to us again and then see us at another show. Because I mean, everybody, whether we're playing opening up for a big band or we're headlining a show of our own or just on another local show, any band can be thrown in the mix and kind of like be forgotten about. Even if you put on a great performance, you might not sell everybody without them
Yeah.
going and like really like giving it a second thought. I think only like diehard music fans will see an awesome band play and then be like, I have to support them. So I think most people need to listen to it at home.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the biggest supporters and fans that we have been from just handing out a CD or a flyer, and we get in a conversation with them, and we end up talking with them for like 20 minutes to 40 minutes. And then we like, they connect with us on Facebook, and
And then we
there's
have an interview with them on Skype.
well, I
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. No.
mean, but yeah, and I can think of there's two people off the top of my head who come to all of our like not all of our shows, but a high number of our shows. They usually buy a T-shirt here and there, and like it's those people that make it all worth it when we're doing that. Because I mean, if you go out 3 times, hand out 400 CDs, but those two people are just into your music and everything that you do. I mean, it's it's a crazy feeling
Yeah.
to think that this happens. We're just like local musicians, but every once in a while, we'll sell a CD online from like Germany or wherever,
Wow.
just like random places, and it's like it's crazy to think that people are like organically finding our music and then they want to buy it, since buying music is such a hard thing to come by these
Yeah.
days.
Definitely.
So yeah, the promoting thing has been, it's been really what's been making us in terms of the local success, I think. So
Yeah, but now Philly's cool. It's got a lot of good places to play, and I've enjoyed the interactions that we've had with the local scene. I think the kids in this area are pretty diehard, and I think it was kind of falling off for a little while. You notice concerts weren't really coming
Yeah.
here for a period of time, and with like the Voltage Lounge kind of picking up the slack and being that like in between venue for
Yeah.
a lot of bands. So like people that can't sell out the TLA, but they can still get 500 people in a place.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a venue that size for people to work with. And now the Voltage Lounge has kind of like offered that, and I think it's been like a shot of life into the scene in this area, and it's really like gotten kids like involved again, and I think it's awesome. So I think that the crowd is definitely picked up quite a bit, and we've reaped some benefits of that.
And I also think, don't they pay them? They do a very high percentage of their ticket income. So
Oh, nice, awesome.
I know that the bands are getting paid well for what they draw, which is like
Which is
a breath of
great,
fresh air.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was funny that Chaz mentioned that because we went, not to side note or anything, but we went to go see Under Oath back from their reunion, and we were actually waiting. I told Joe this before we started interviewing, but we were hanging outside the venue, and one of my friends said that, like, Chris is gonna come out and say what's up, but then he happened to have family in town, so it didn't work out. But we were just standing out there waiting for him because I was like by my phone seeing if it was gonna happen. So Chaz comes up to us, and he's saying he hands out CDs, and that's not a lie. He actually does go out and hand out CDs. But so he comes up to us, and he's like, "Hey, you guys, obviously you like metal. You're here at the Under Oath show, so would you mind checking out our CD?" And so, like, obviously handing out the CD to all of us. And then I told him it was ironic that, we were starting like a music channel kind of a thing. And, now we're here, doing an interview. So it's kind of like a small world thing. But, I'm appreciative of you guys, and hopefully I can make it out to his shows soon enough. But, yeah, it was just a lucky coincidence kind of a thing. And it's cool that you guys are like actually going out, like talking to people, and making conversation, and just be like, it doesn't take you that much time to just literally just pop into your car CD or like listen to it at home or something. I feel like I listened to that CD quite a few times after we got it, so I like it a lot, and I can't wait for your new stuff. But I mean, it's cool that you're out there like actually doing it, actually like showing support, being at shows and stuff. I think that's an awesome thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, a lot of the motivation behind it too. We don't just go out there too to just be like, oh, trying to get people to listen to our music. I mean, that's always an added benefit, but also just to like talk to people who are into the same stuff as us, because
Absolutely.
it's not something that you come across very frequently. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while, you're like, if you're on the train or something, you'll see a guy with like tattoos and gauges, and you'll be like, oh, he likes metal, but you're not going to go up to him and be like, hey, you want to talk about metal? Because you obviously like metal. So, I mean, it puts us in the environment, that we want to be a part of, really.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think that's why a big part of our success is just because, it's not like we're, pawning our music off to these people. It's just like, hey, I like the same band you like too. Look at this music I make. Would you like, to give it a shot? So
I think it's
that's
kind
why
of,
they give it out for free.
yeah, I also think it's kind of like a genuine thing. Like, you're out there, like I saw in Chaz for sure just how genuine he was about, coming up, really check out my CD. And I've always been a big fan of like, listening to people, whoever gives me a CD, I like to listen to it, at least listen to it and then give my thoughts on it and stuff. But I mean, I thought that was really cool. And, not a lot, like you said, not a lot of people do that, especially local bands. And I'm sure you guys are endeared in the Philly scene for doing that for sure. I mean, I respect you guys immensely for sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. This one's kind of a fun question. If you could cover a song, what would it be?
Oh,
Well,
It better be some Mariah Carey. It better be some Mariah Carey.
Well, we actually have one. Now, it's not Mariah Carey, but I can't
Oh,
tell you.
come on, man.
But I can tell you that it's very unmetal. But it's written by a great musician. But we're working on something that is kind of like a little secret
All
right
right.
now. But I have forever wanted to cover 2 songs. One
Okay.
is "My Own Worst Enemy" by Lit.
Nice.
I thought it'd be a great song to turn into like a metal track. And "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica.
Nice.
There are 2 tracks that I just thought this band would just make awesome. But we don't agree on anything.
this has been a long, strenuous, like, ongoing fight that we always have about whenever we get into a conversation about covers, because there's this big divide between people who like Pantera and the people who like Metallica. And though I like respect Metallica and even like a couple of their older songs, in general, I I don't really like them that much. And I find them kind of annoying.
Oh man.
I know. And so the people in the band who do like Metallica then come at me for liking Pantera, and they think that Pantera sucks. So then it's like, this ongoing war. But we've always said that like if we got like a majority vote of a song that we would do it. And kind of crazy, the song that we're working on is like unanimous.
Yeah,
Like,
that's probably the one that ever happened.
yeah. But I don't know any particular song that I've ever like really had the desire to cover. But I mean, if you're talking about Pantera, I think "Goddamn Electric" would be an awesome song for us to cover because I feel like there's a lot of room in that for us to do what we like to do.
Definitely.
And I'm trying to think. I've always been a huge fan of "Unbroken" by Pantera,
Nice.
but I can't say that I've had the urge that I should cover it in this band.
For history's sake, though, we will say we actually have covered a few songs. We never recorded any of them, though, but we have covered "Confined" by As I Lay Dying,
Nice.
"Romance Is Dead" by Parkway Drive,
Nice.
"Sick" by Slipknot,
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So-
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, "Doomsayer" by Hatebreed,
Nice.
and we started working with a "No Pity for the Coward" cover by Suicide Silence, but we never
Yeah.
actually did that live. And a song that we got a lot of love for, but I can't believe that we did, we covered "Just Dance" by Lady Gaga. I'm pretty sure that's still on the internet somewhere. There's like a live video of us playing.
I'm gonna find it after this.
I wasn't part of the band yet.
I can't be responsible for this. I wasn't in the band yet.
Yeah, that was years ago.
That's great. That one's funny. That one's a good one. This one is also another kind of fun question. What's your guys' favorite food to eat?
Mine is an ongoing battle. I recently switched diets and I can't eat it anymore, but
Oh,
pizza has been my
yeah,
favorite.
pizza's red.
Followed closely by tacos.
Nice.
I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite.
It's wings.
I do eat, I eat a lot of wings, but like, I'm a bit of a carnivore as it is, so I'm always like eating some sort of steaks or chicken
Nice.
or whatever. I mean, I do love pizza too. I've been known to take down a whole pizza. I'm in as
There's
a
actually a
band.
graveyard of pizza boxes in our backyard.
In this band, I've been known as the guy who's just perpetually hungry. Like they're like, "Oh, is you hungry?" Yeah, he's hungry. So
While we're sitting down for this interview, you can't tell, but Joe has an enormous belly.
Now you know. It's the facts of Cranley Gardens that you wanted to know but didn't know.
He wears Spanx.
I
Nice.
get extra big guitars made to cover my
Actually, we had an instance where this girl commented on a picture of us, and she said, "I didn't know
Well, wait.
that your bass player, guitar player, were so chubs."
Well, we should preface this that neither of us are overweight in any sense of the word. And we played a show with I the Breather. We played their farewell show,
Nice. Awesome.
Planet Trog in Allentown.
Yeah.
And like we had a great show. It was a great time. And then like someone commented, they're like, "Oh, we never saw you guys live before. It was a great show." And then said something about Alex and I being chubby and that we should get bigger
Bigger
guitars.
guitars, yeah.
We got into a little bit of a flame war over that.
I don't blame you for that. That one's that's rough. What do you guys do for a living? Besides, obviously, you do Cranley Gardens, but
I am a warehouse manager for a shipping and receiving company.
nice. Okay.
Consumes quite a bit of my time.
I am a graphic designer. I work for a law firm in a marketing department right now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's kind of like a little bit monotonous work. It's not like the most creative stuff you've ever had to do. But I also freelance on the side, and I do all of our design stuff for the band. So like all of our flyers and CDs and
Oh, nice.
shirts,
Cool.
stuff like that.
That's
And,
awesome.
Randy is a mechanic. Alex is a driver for like a paper
printing
supply,
company, yeah.
printing company, and Ryan's a manager for a Wawa.
Oh, nice. Okay, you guys have different jobs.
Yeah.
If speaking of jobs, if you could have a dream job besides music, what would it be?
Hmm.
Well, I can tell you that if I wasn't doing music, I would just want to have a self-sustaining freelance career in graphic design because
Yeah.
I do like doing that a lot. But like the thought of not having to like get up and go to an actual job and like just having clients where I can work with, and I get like different projects from different people, would probably be the only way that I'd be content if I wasn't doing music.
Yeah. I think. Well, I mean, ideally, I'd like to have a job where I don't have to do anything and I make a lot of money. But if I could just, enjoy my life, that would be sweet. But I don't know. I think I always felt like I could be a good actor. So if I could just, get planted into that job, because I guess I never had the passion for acting like I did for music, so I didn't really seek it out. But if you could just say like, oh yeah, if you can do that, I would probably test that out. Or maybe as a radio host. That was actually what I went to school for.
Oh, nice.
Initially, it was communications because I wanted to do radio, but radio was kind of like a dying industry, especially with podcasting taking over.
Yeah.
It's kind
Well.
of radio really to shame, but like Jason Ellis and guys like that on the radio, I really enjoyed listening to them tell their stories and all that stuff.
Nice.
Or actually, and then I also went to school to be a teacher, so I guess I probably should have said that.
Well, I mean, the good thing about radio and podcast though is it's not killing it to the point where they can't make money. Like if you have a popular podcast, you can still sell advertising and get paid
Yeah.
like you would on a radio station.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I mean, we could do it if we wanted to, but we're not at that point yet. So, but I'm not gonna sell out like that. I mean, I hope not, at least. This one's kind of a fun question. If you could play another musical instrument, what would it be and why? I mean, I know Chaz, you don't play an instrument, but if you
Whoa,
could-
whoa, whoa! You don't know I don't play an
the
instrument.
vocals. I mean, besides the vocals.
Well, I do poorly play guitar, and I am better at bass than I poorly play guitar. I actually started out as a bass player and became a vocalist by default because,
Oh wow.
yeah, the guy that we had that was supposed to be the vocalist couldn't do it. I just kind of took over one day. I would probably play guitar better than I do because it's so universal.
Oh yeah.
And you can take it everywhere. You can play it everywhere with an acoustic, and people seem to be able to relate to it a lot. Like as soon as you play a song, somebody knows. It's like, oh, that's awesome, and then you'll get like into it. I love drums too, but drums are
Drums
loud.
are tough. Yeah.
and
And
they're
loud.
also not very portable.
Well, mine is something that I do intend to learn how to play is the moment I have some extra time and a little bit of extra money to buy one. But I always wanted to play a cello.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Cello, you got a bass.
I've always liked string quartets, but like violins are a little too high and basses are a little too low. So
Cello's right in the middle.
you play some really nice sounding music with the cello.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also piano. I would really like to learn how to play piano, but I can play piano a little bit, but I've never sit down enough and like worked hard enough at it to get it to where I want it to be.
I mean, is this a hint? Cello in the next Cranley Gardens.
I
Music?
wouldn't put it past anything. I mean, I'm always open to do whatever. I feel like we've already discussed, like especially with the going towards the Whitechapel Bring the Horizon thing, that if we're gonna get weird, we should get weird early.
Yeah.
That way, people don't hate you when you do it. You know what I mean? If you can incorporate any sort of weird influence that you have
Yeah.
immediately, then maybe people will be like, "Wow, that band's just kind of all over the place." That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could write like a decent intro to a song on a cello, make something like epic-y sounding.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well.
I totally agree with you.
Cheers.
po- Anyway, I am a huge nerd, so this next question is kind of a nerdy question. So, if you could be a Pokemon, what would it be? I know you. I don't know if you guys.
Tap out of this one.
You're gonna
'cause
tap out. You're not a Pokemon fan.
I don't have any
Okay.
any
Is
options.
Joe gonna answer this one? Is Joe
I
answering?
don't know
one
much.
For the team?
I mean, I'm a pretty big nerd in other areas.
Okay.
I am a little bit. I couldn't give you a character
Okay.
on I do know isn't there like a Mewtwo?
Yes, you're
Is
right.
that Pokemon?
You're right.
I was him a couple times playing Smash Brothers, and
Nice.
he seemed pretty cool. I know
Okay.
he's evil, right? He's evil,
Yes, he
right?
is evil.
Okay.
Yeah, evilish. But there you
Um,
go. Now you know. But getting back to kind of the more band related questions, what has been your most memorable moment as a band? I mean, you don't have to name just one. You can name as many as you would like, but just some memorable moments.
I would say one of the most recent ones is probably the Whitechapel show.
mhm.
We had such a good crowd response. We had so many people there. You know, people were freaking out. You know, we had a good pit going, and you know, we were on a really nice big stage, which we don't always get to be on. And everybody performed really well that night, so we just walked off stage feeling awesome. You know, we were out drinking in the crowd afterwards, and it was a really good feeling.
Yeah, I'd second that one too. I mean, it was pretty crazy because we got done, we went back to our merch table, and like people were scooping up our merch. They were asking, for our autographs, and they wanted their pictures taken with us, and that kind of stuff is very surreal to me because I'm kind of like when they
Yeah.
like my initial reaction is always like, why? Like, I mean, but I mean, I do, I'm very grateful that they had that response to us. Um, but yeah, there was like not wasn't only a big show, but like the vibes that were going on was really great. And actually, I know I'll remember the show that we played last Sunday. We played with just a small show with Wake and Providence up in Secaucus, New Jersey, uh, and it was just kind of a regular show, but like so many of these shows that you go to, and there's like these hardcore dancers, and sometimes they can kill the vibe a lot.
Yeah.
People get too violent or whatever. But just the pit that was going was like there was a lot of love there. People looking out for each other, and even the hardcore dancers were like, steering clear. And when if they accidentally came up against somebody, they were gave them a hug, and they kept going. And I mean, there was just a lot of good feelings happening. And I very rarely ever do any sort of pitting, and I got like worked up to the point where I like was in there for a hot minute. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just like those shows where like you guys just sort of like the band just sort of like matches up when you're on the same level, and it just
Yeah.
feels like you know that you're all up there for the same reasons, doing the same thing, and having a lot of fun doing it. Those always stick out to me, and like the older I get, and the more I look back on my life, it's like those moments where I was like I just felt as like part of this collective, like thing.
Entity.
Yeah, this entity is like it's been you know it's kind of what I live for, really.
Yeah, that's great. What were you
There
gonna
was also one stupid little show at the Vic. Yeah. It wasn't even like a real crazy show. It was just like a local one, but
Yeah.
we ended up getting hammered before we played, which we usually don't. I mean, we might go on stage a little bit buzzed, but we usually don't get like drunk.
Yeah.
And I think we were just there super early, and
Oh,
so we had a ton of time to.
I know what happened is we got booked through this like online like booking agency,
that's right.
and they booked us with like these jazz bands and this like not even kind of metal bands, and we're like, is this happening? Are we playing the show right
Oh
now?
my
So that's
God.
why we were like, let's have some drinks, loosen up before we do this.
Yeah, and so we had more than some drinks, and then we were all pretty turned up. It actually ended up being pretty awesome. I mean, the crowd wasn't crazy, but it was mostly our friends, so they had all been drinking with us prior, and then and it was a good time.
That's quite a show. That would have been fun to witness, I'm sure. This one's I guess related to you, personal question. Who do you think puts on a great live show, and what has been your favorite show that you've been to?
I think As I Lay Dying, I always thought put on a really good live show. I always thought they were a band that sounded way better live than they did in person. And Seven Dust, that's a band that kills it live.
Nice.
Uh,
Okay.
I would always try and check them out when they came around because I thought they did such a good job. And there's another band, God Forbid. They don't even exist anymore, but I always thought God Forbid was very good live. Actually, I wasn't even a big fan of that band, but whenever I would see them live, I was like, man, that band's awesome. And Hatebreed. Hatebreed's one of my favorite bands, and I just saw them recently, and they killed it again. They always put on a great show, and their music is I feel like always like the crowd is always so amped on seeing them. So like the response
Yeah.
between the crowd and the band, it's always on point at their shows.
There's a couple of shows that stick out to me from a couple of years ago. One of them actually I saw As They Lay Dying and Demon Hunter
Nice.
at Croc Rock in Allentown when that was still a thing. And that was like a really great show. Demon Hunter is really awesome live. And then I remember seeing August Burns Red and Bring Me the Horizon there around the same time, and that was a good show. But actually, one of the biggest shows that surprised me in a long time is I never was really on the Parkway Drive train. I don't know why. I don't know how I missed it, given like the music that I listened to. But for whatever reason, it never really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
But I went to the Parkway Drive show a couple months ago when they played at the Fillmore, and like I was just there to promote. Really, I think is the only reason why I went. But Parkway Drive went on, and I was like, I couldn't believe. I don't know. Their live performance, whatever, was like really captivating to me. Their front man is super charismatic, and I was like, that guy knows what the hell he's doing. So I even post that show, I still don't listen to him that often. Like every once in a while, but that show was
They
like
did a great job.
well, the thing is like you see these shows live, and
Yeah.
Killswitch Engage has done this to me before too, because I saw them play Alive or Just Breathing in its entirety at the Chameleon Club,
Oh wow.
and you see these songs played live, and they're so heavy and they're so awesome, and then like the production on like the actual CD itself never lives up to that. So it's like I mean, you kind of listen to it and remember how awesome it was when you saw it live.
I would say, and then like for my favorite concert, I would probably say Ozfest 2003. It was the first Ozfest I'd ever gone to. I was only like 14, but if off the top of my head, without thinking about it any harder, that one jumps right in there. It was like the lineup was great for me at the time, like bands I was into, and I just thought the crowd was awesome, and it was the first time I got to see Korn, and so
Nice.
that was pretty big for me.
What about you, Joe? Oh, you kind of answered it, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, if you're going to go old school like that, my first concert was like, my first metal concert was, my first concert was Mariah Carey. No, I'm just kidding. But it was Godsmack headlined, and it was Stained, Cold, and Systematic.
Nice.
And I saw that was like in a big arena. It was like my first metal show. I was in seventh or 8th grade. And
Wow.
that was really awesome. Stained was really awesome live. They actually kind of stole the show from Godsmack a little bit. But yeah, that one will always have a special place in my memory bank because, obvious reasons.
That one's a good one. I like that one. Speaking of tours, if you could compile a dream tour, what would it be?
Are we on it, or is this just
I mean, hey, I've had people put their bands in, so it's free game.
Well, obviously, I mean, I feel like as a musician standpoint, I'd probably put together different ones. If we were going to be on one, I would put together a certain package. If we were not, then I don't know. If I was just going to go watch a concert and put together like a dream tour package for myself, it would probably be like 36 Crazy Fists, Hatebreed, Whitechapel, and maybe like Bleeding Through.
Oh wow.
It's kind of eclectic
Yeah.
group of dudes, and I feel like, but they all have like a little bit that they can share, but it's enough to pull different people. And I always like really respect when bands will kind of like tour with somebody a little bit out of their realm.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it kind of ropes in different people, because then people are going, well, I'm only going to see this band. But when that person goes in and watches the other bands that they didn't go to see, sometimes you become a fan of a band that you never thought you would like. And I think that's all. I respect bands for like taking that, it's kind of like a scary venture, because you could end up getting shut down.
Yeah.
Like one of Osiris went on tour with Guar. That's a pretty big stretch for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would like to think that they probably roped in a bunch of new fans from touring with people who probably never would have listened to their music otherwise.
Definitely.
Well, that's a tough question for me because it's like my influences, like what I listen to, just changes so often, and like I'm like one of these people that kind of like, jump in pretty hard on whatever I'm listening to, and then I kind of like get into something else, and that kind of takes like a backseat. But I probably put Fit for an Autopsy on something.
I probably should have said that as well.
and I could do Whitechapel with that too. I think I'd like to see Architects, mainly
Yeah.
because I wanted them. They were supposed to come
Yeah,
here.
I know. I wanted
and
to go see that too. Yeah.
Tour
So-
got canceled. And they were with Make Them Suffer, and I want to see them too.
Yes, yes.
And then maybe with like a Boys to Men opener, something like that.
I thought you were gonna say like Mariah Carey, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Like, I mean, if you could time traveler and bring back like 90s, like, I don't want her up there now. It's just like-
Oh man, that's terrible.
and Boys to Men are still. I mean, they still do their thing.
Yeah.
They're like
They're
in Atlantic
Vegas.
City.
I think they have residency in Vegas.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, they're definitely in Atlantic City this month or something.
I thought Chaz was gonna say Third Eye Blind with like Whitechapel and stuff. So
Nah, I gotta be in a certain mindset for each concert. Every time I go to a Third Eye Blind concert, I usually try to get pretty drunk because my inhibitions keep me from enjoying myself too much. I still am like, even though I love that band, I'll be there and be like, gay.
What's your Third Eye Blind?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to like get myself in the mindset to enjoy it because it's just a bunch of like preppy dudes and like pretty girls jumping around and stuff, and it's kind of like a different scene for me. So it's hard for me to like feel like relaxed.
Oh my God, sing Jumper.
Then Whitechapel comes on and it's like, please sing Mark of the Blade, like.
Yeah. And then like yeah, exactly. You wouldn't want that crowd at a Whitechapel show. It's like Whitechapel crowd at a Third Eye Blind show. So I couldn't put them together. It'd have to be a metal tour.
Oh, that's great. This one's a fun question. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of TVs or movies, but favorite TV shows and favorite movies.
My favorite movie, no one ever knows what it is. It's called True Romance. It's like a gangster movie. Quentin Tarantino wrote it. It has a shit ton of stars in it. Dennis Hopper, Gary Oldman,
Oh, wow.
Samuel L. Jackson, Brad Pitt, Michael Rappaport. Christian Slater's a star, and he co-stars with Patricia Arquette. And it's like this guy and girl who fall in love like instantly, and then they come across like a shit ton of drugs, and they steal it, and they go to California to sell it all to this guy, and they kind of get like tracked down by these gangsters along the way, and they're just trying like they basically just go in like they come across obstacle over obstacle, but they kind of like make their way through it because they just kind of like are in it and they got each other's backs. So I recommend it if you've never seen it. That's my
Nice.
favorite movie. My favorite TV show is Californication because I relate to the character a lot, Hank.
Nice.
I had to say my favorite movie of all time would be Dumb and Dumber. It has both nostalgic meaning to me, and it's also a cult classic. So I've loved that movie since I was in 8th grade. I mean, I kind of go back and forth on movies a lot too. I mean, it's whatever I'm in the mood for. Lately, I've been on like a horror kick. I've watched with The Conjuring 2 came out. I like rewatched Conjuring 1, and I saw Conjuring 2, and that was pretty awesome. So now I'm kind of like in this horror mode. And for shows, like I don't really consume any new shows. Like I don't follow anything. I used to follow The Walking Dead for a while, but I fell off of that around like season 4. I just couldn't follow it anymore. So right now I kind of put on. I'm always just putting things on Netflix as like background noise or to like fall asleep to.
Yeah.
So I put on like Friends pretty much every night to go to sleep.
Yes.
It's a show I watched when I was a kid. Like my family and sisters would watch it. I mean it's easy to watch. It's funny, and yeah, that's for no other reason than it's just comforting to have on. Is why it's always on.
It's because they're your friends now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't like we were talking about earlier. My favorite video game. So, what is your favorite video game or game series?
I am
If you do a lot of gaming.
Pretty out of date with video games. The most recent system I own is a Nintendo 64.
Yes, that's what I have too. So.
Right, nice. I never really got too into it. I mean, I just don't have that much time to designate to like doing something for hours upon hours. I used to when I was a kid. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would probably go classic with Mario.
Nice.
Any of them really, but probably either Mario 64 or Mario for Super Nintendo. Those were my favorite games, I think.
I'm a considerable gamer when I have the time to. So I actually just bought an Xbox One specifically for the reason to play Doom, to get the new Doom game.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the new game yet because everywhere it's like $60. I refuse to pay $60 for a game. But I always liked BioShock. I don't know if
Nice.
you ever played that game.
Yeah.
That game is incredible. Just like the environment and the feeling the game has. I also am a big fan of the Arkham series
Nice.
of the Batmans.
Batman
I
series.
played all of those. That's actually what I'm playing on my Xbox One now, while I wait to find out how I'm gonna get Doom. But yeah, I never played the Arkham Knight one, the latest one. So I just started playing that. Actually,
Nice.
Is
this
that
week.
what that scary music was?
Yeah, that's what I was playing. So yeah, I'm a sucker for a good shooter, and I like superhero games, and
Nice.
the Batman ones have been like the best ones there has been in a long time. Like I don't like the Spider-Man ones, got kind of old. I really wish there was a good Superman game because they almost had a good game when they came out with Superman Returns, where you could like fly around the whole city and it was like
Yeah.
open world. But then it was just so repetitive and boring after that. Like, once you got over the fact that you could fly anywhere as fast as you possibly could, it got really boring. But so yeah,
Okay.
that's
That's all right. And the last question well, not really a question, but basically, if you want to talk about any sort of info, like either tours, upcoming events, new music, whatever, the floor is yours now, guys.
So we've been slowly working on our second EP called House of Decay. It was supposed to be slated for a summer release, and then things kept happening within the band, or externally, kind of drawing us away from that we weren't able to get it done in time. So it's looking more like a fall release now.
Okay.
But we'll have, probably 2 singles on that. We'll put out a music video, probably a lyric video, and then hopefully a tour to follow in the fall if all goes as planned.
Awesome.
And we'll have some new merch coming up, which we're really excited about, dropping some new T-shirts because our merch is a little bit outdated at this point. And also, we're gonna try to release that cover, which we've never done like a single before. So we never recorded a cover before, and we've never released a single. So we're gonna try and do that, which we're kind of like looking forward to. And then, what else do we have going on? We don't really have any real big shows booked right now, but we're hoping to get on a couple of other good bills. We've seen some tours coming around that we think we might be able to pop on the package and maybe get 1 or 2 slots on there. So that's the goal for right now.
Nice. What were you gonna say, Joe?
yeah. I mean, just to reiterate what he said. So we like with our recording, we kind of do it. Well, this time around, we're doing it all ourselves, and then having it sent out to be mixed and mastered. With Locust Valley, we did that the whole thing in house.
Nice.
So we're hoping with doing that, sending it out while it's being mastered and mixed, we can get the other things done. And so that's kind of what's been like the hiccup is like we'll be working on recording, then we'll get like the show offer that we can't really refuse. So then we'll do that, and it kind of like bumps us off track. But yeah, I think all the things coming up are going to be pretty exciting for all of us. So
Yeah, and with the band kind of like mostly consolidated in one house now too, we're hoping to speed up the writing process a little bit. We've already started writing our full length, so we're hoping that if we can keep writing simultaneously while recording, that we can kind of like be ready to start recording the full length right after we drop the
EP, yeah, definitely. And you guys, you're on like Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So, I will make sure to link that in the description. I think I have most of it, if not all of it, from the last time. But I just want to thank you guys for being on Audio Addiction. I really appreciate it. I know Chaz and I talked about it for a couple months at least,
Yeah.
being on, but
Apologize.
it's all right. Things.
I'm a gypsy. It's hard to track me down.
It's hard. It's always hard to line things up, but we gotta talk about. I mean, we're from Philly area, so we like to talk about bands that are obviously close to us. But hopefully we'll make it out to one of your guys' shows in the foreseeable future. I know I just missed one. You were at Champs
Yeah.
not too long ago, so
Well, we're playing with Dark Sermon on July 9th, and it's a Saturday, so you should come check that one out.
With the
Alright.
Voltage Lounge.
Yeah,
too.
it's at the
Is it?
Voltage Lounge,
Okay.
just right by the Electric Factory. Yeah.
I have to check that one out. But thank you guys again for being on, and check out Cranley Gardens again if you're in close to the Philly area. They play a lot of shows there, and like they said, they're gonna be having a tour hopefully soon. And make sure you subscribe to this channel and like the video. Go subscribe to Cranley Gardens on their YouTube channel. And with that being said, we'll see you guys later. All right. See
All right,
ya.
thanks again.
Thank you.